Hi everyone, how are you all doing? We are getting closer and closer to the total lunar eclipse that's occurring on September the 7th. GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, starting at 7:30 and then ending at 9:55. Now, that's about 2 hours 2 hours 25 minutes. Now, not everybody's going to see the lunar eclipse. It's not going to be visible everywhere in the world. It is the North and South American continents that are not going to be able to see the lunar eclipse, apart from the very eastern slither side of Alaska. Where it will be seen totally is going to be all over Asia and most of Australia, apart from the very west part of the Australian continent. So in Europe and in Africa, we will get to see part of the total lunar eclipse. Now, this lunar eclipse, this total lunar eclipse, just when you think that a full moon is potent enough, we do have this full moon in form of a total lunar eclipse. And that makes it even more intense and more powerful. But then the cosmos decides to throw in a few more ingredients to make it even more intense and meaningful for us. And I will go into that in a bit. But I just want to mention that at this point, when the total lunar eclipse occurs to almost at the end of the year, the journey of the moon is going to be very, very effective and activate a quadrant part of your chart. And what I mean by that is that it is going to be very effective in 4 consecutive houses in your chart. And what those houses are depends on your rising sign. Now, it's all very, very deep and very interesting, and I'm going to do a video on it soon after I release a video on the solar eclipse, which is coming out in about a week or so. So do subscribe, and if you wish, and press on that notification button where you will be notified as soon as we release videos in the future. Now, back to the total lunar eclipse. I'm your host, astrologer Blue Yasmin, and you are tuned into ASC Astrology, a very, very new channel. So a like and sharing would be much, much appreciated. As much as we can get, this will help to lift ASC Astrology off the ground on this realm of algorithm in YouTube. Anyway, let's get on with the total lunar eclipse. Now, it is happening in Pisces. The moon will be in Pisces at 15 degrees, 22 minutes, and it is opposing the sun in Virgo at 15 degrees, 22 minutes. Now, this really started, this journey of the full moon started at 0 degrees in Virgo when the moon went into Virgo, 0 degrees, soon after the sun going into Virgo at 0 degrees. So they virtually went almost hand in hand in Virgo with this critical degree. And it is the degree of initiation. It's about starting something new. And it was squared with Uranus in Gemini. And this gave a sense of sudden urgency or even sudden changes for some of you with everyday routines and your health and how you serve others and how you serve yourself. And it's really about changing the everyday structure. Now, the total eclipse, the total lunar eclipse, at 15 degrees, this adds to the intensity because it is right in the middle, dead center of each sign, which means that there is real authenticity and absorption of the traits of these signs. And that's really, really powerful. It then does end up as solar eclipse, both the luminaries in Virgo at another anaretic degree, another critical degree at 29 degrees. But that's another story, and we'll go into that when I do the video on the solar eclipse. So that is another added ingredient, is that it is right at the center of each sign. The other intense ingredients is that they both are in conjunction with the nodes, the North Node and the South Node. Now, whenever a node or both nodes are in conjunction with a planet or a point in the chart, it intensifies the expression of those planets. The planets become very magnified and very loud, and they are trying to express something very, very clearly to us. And these are the two luminaries at 15 degrees, where they are in conjunction with the North and South Node at 18 degrees. We've got in Virgo the South Node in conjunction with the Sun, and we've got the North Node at 18 degrees in Pisces in conjunction to the Moon. Now, there is this opposition, and the nodes are always in oppositions, where the North Node and the South Node kind of play this tug of war, where the South Node is about what we are comfortable with and find difficulty from moving on. These are our old habits and these tools in life that we are used to using and comfortable using, and we find it very difficult to let go. And so this energy of the South Node in conjunction with the Sun is warning us that there are certain things in Virgo that we need to let go. But also the South Node has some useful tools that we can use. So we have to do that Virgo thing about editing things and edit things out of the South bucket that's not going to be, I call it the bucket, the South Node, where these things are not going to be useful for us. And these could be where it is that Virgo energy of being self-critical or overthinking in something, overdoing in something, and becoming too repetitive. And then we have the North Node in Pisces, where the North Node is saying, this is where you really want to move. This is where these are the things that you really do want and you need in your life that you may not be conscious of. But it is where your higher self is calling you. This is a point of evolution and growth. And this is where we use the Pisces traits to help us grow towards this stage of evolution for us. Now, the opposition between Virgo and Pisces, they're on the same axis. They're both opposite each other. And so they have many contradictions between each other. But what this total eclipse is asking us to do is to bring these two somehow together, where they're not in this tug of war, where we can bring the energies together and harness them in a way that's going to work for us in a harmonious way. So with Virgo, the Sun being in Virgo, we have to look at that Virgo archetype to understand that energy, and then we have to look at the Pisces archetype to understand that energy, and concentrate on what the nodes are trying to express to us. So we've got the full moon, about culmination, about releasing. What makes it even more intense is that the full moon, the total eclipse, is happening in Pisces, and Pisces is also about surrendering and letting go. So it really complements this total eclipse beautifully. And then on top of that, we have Jupiter, which is the traditional ruling planet of Pisces in Cancer, that is trining to the total eclipse and sextiling to the Sun during the total eclipse, where it is going to give us this harmonious effect where we can move through this energy with vulnerability, where we can explore Jupiter, where we can explore the emotions and find some kind of faith in us and some belief in us that we can find some kind of adaptable structure to work for us. But before we get there, we need to be vulnerable with our emotions. We need to explore our emotions and think about what needs to be released that does not serve us anymore. And so this supportive energy is really beautiful because you've got a mutual reception going on. You've got the moon in Pisces, which is the ruling planet of Cancer, and then you have Jupiter, which is in Cancer, that is the ruling planet of Pisces. So there's this beautiful mutual reception going on that is very, very supportive for us. Now, the full moon is, like I said, it's about culmination, it's about emotion, it's also about the body. The full moon is the body because it's the habits and all the things that we're comfortable with and our needs and our emotions that expresses and manifests through the body. So with the sun being in Virgo, Virgo is really about the being conscious about well-being. It knows that truth about being in a place of where we can always heal, where always in a place of well-being, is where we can work through that everyday routine in a really efficient way. Virgo knows that without good health, we cannot work through our routines well. And that well-being really does come first. And so that's why Virgo, it does connect the everyday to well-being. So this culmination of these emotions are not serving our mind, it's not serving us on an everyday, and it's not serving our body. So we need to analyze, using that Virgo tool, that useful Virgo tool, to analyze what is it that we need to release. Now, with the culmination, we know that during the full moon periods, we have this saying, and it's not politically correct, but back in the day we used to say, oh, you know, the full moon, that's when all the lunatics come out, or that's when we behave in a lunatic way, because we understand that our behavior is very much connected to the full moons and the new moons. And in fact, we have the city police, the metropolitan police, where they increase their police force during the times of full moon and new moon, because they know that they're fully aware that during these times people behave in a very erratic way, in a very frustrated way, angry way, and sometimes even violent way. And that is what is happening with the energy when you don't understand the energy that's culminated and needs to be released. And when we're not understanding that emotion, it can come out really erratically, very confused, and in a very frustrating way. And indeed, even with Mother Earth, during the full moon, we have where the tides swell up and become bigger because it has such, a relationship, the moon does, with the water. And of course, we are mostly water, so the moon will affect us. But with the Mother Earth, we hear, at times, during times like the solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, and even the full moon and new moons, where there is an increase in Mother Nature behaving in such a way where there are landslides and tidal waves increase, and there is more flooding, and the weather can become erratic, earthquakes, and that is because even Mother Nature has this build-up of energy that it needs to release at the time of the full moon, because it has culminated in an energy, so it needs to be released. So with the total eclipse, the lunar total eclipse, this is really about working with the north node, with the south node, and being aware of what the luminaries are really trying to express to us, but particularly the moon, because this is the total lunar eclipse. And during the umbra moment of the lunar eclipse, we call it the bloody moon. It's the red moon because it has this red tone to it, this haunting red tone. And that's because it's going through something that we call Rayleigh scattering. And it's when the Earth goes in between and lines up in between the sun and the moon. It creates a shadow on the moon, and the moon sinks into the shadow of the Earth, and the Earth's atmosphere scatters its blue light, and it's left with the red light. And the red light from Earth, from the atmosphere, is bent towards the surface of the moon. Hence, that's why we get that red tone to the moon, that red light. But we do know that red light is healing. We use red light, and it has been proven to heal, to decrease inflammation. This is like the red moon inflaming, our emotions inflaming, and we need to go through a process of decreasing that inflammation through releasing our emotions. This is a healing light, and I know a lot of people kind of put a bad connotation to it, but red light is a healing light, and this is where the moon needs to heal its emotions. That is the moon in us, that is healing our emotions. And so we are in this beautiful sign of Pisces that is all about healing. Pisces is that dreaming, that illusion. It is about ideology and escapism. And with the Virgo opposite, where Virgo is practical and it's about reality, it's about that everyday, the mundane, it's about the body, the health, and the well-being. It's about being analytical in a realistic way. The Virgo is the conscious mind, and Pisces is the unconscious mind. Virgo is the real 3D life and working through that intricate 3D existence of ours. And Pisces is about the dream and the imagination and creativity. And it is about intuition. And so the total moon being in Pisces is asking us to use our intuition at the point where we need to release, and we need to be in a place where we can allow ourselves to be vulnerable, allow ourselves to be honest, and not go through that deep sense of Pisces where there is illusion and dreaming, where we have to get this balance between, this axis point where, yes, we use the useful tools of analyzing and looking in detail to our emotions, but not to overthink and not to be repetitive, where we become a broken record with our emotions, where we live with what is comfortable with us, and sometimes it's hard to look at our emotions. So we live with our emotions in a very habitual way because it feels safer. But Virgo wants us to analyze it and to edit things out that is not serving us anymore, and to bring in something new that's going to work through our routines on an everyday basis. But the energy of the lunar eclipse in Pisces is saying we need to do this in an intuitional way. We need to become introspective during this time and go deep, and yes, analyze our emotions, but not in that logical kind of over-analytical way where we become self-critical. And, this is not the time for perfection. It's a time for efficiency, but it is also the time of bringing in our creativity, and also about being vulnerable and being in a place where we can be in touch with our intuition. This is a time where you are probably going to get, wherever your Pisces is and your Virgo, where illusions are going to be broken, where things are going to come up to the surface that you have denied, or where there have been secrets and manipulations that you have not been aware of. And these things are going to come to the surface, and the window of illusions are going to smash. And we need to be prepared for that, but be in a place of compassion and in a place of forgiveness, where we can forgive ourselves and forgive others and move away from that, releasing that energy through a place of compassion, where we can then move on and make this new pure space. That purity comes from that heavenly purity, that spiritual purity of Pisces, but also comes from that purity of that Virgin Virgo. Virgo is all about cleansiness. It's about cleaning something out, decluttering, and making this new pure space. And both of these signs have that energy to do that, and we want that practicality to do that, but we also want to use our intuition. And this is going to be done in a very authentic way, and in a way that doesn't have to be done suddenly. This is going to be a process for us. And just remember that that red light of that red moon is about healing the mind, healing our emotions, and healing our bodies. So this cleansing and releasing has to be done in a harmonious way, where we are vulnerable, where we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, where Jupiter trining and giving us that beautiful smooth pathway where this energy can flow, of us being vulnerable, us being honest, and where we are allowed to explore in a flowing way all the things that we need to look at, and not become obsessive about it, but to think through it in a way that is compassionate and forgiving, where there is that trine where we can that can help us to release all these emotions and day-to-day rituals that are not serving us anymore. And remember, this is a very adaptable energy because of these two mutable signs. It's allowing us to be adaptable, and it's saying that we need to keep this open mind. So I do hope this video has been useful for you, and I wish you all a very happy total lunar eclipse. And I will come back to you in about a week or so with a video on the solar eclipse to complete this caption that has been going on so mathematically beautiful, from 0 to 15 to that 29 degrees. It has this really beautiful caption about it, and this flowing energy where there is a beginning, a middle, and an ending. I will see you next time. Until then, do look after yourself.